Dawntrail is almost here, but it's not here quite just yet. For the Carbuncle Chronicle. Hello, and welcome to the Carbuncle Chronicle, your podcast for everything awesome in Final Fantasy XIV. I'm Basil, and I play a Lalafell, mostly summoner, named 4K Rydiske.
I'm Anna. I play a Lalafell dancer named Cormia Rydiske.
And I'm Tobias. I play Nanawai Silvestri, and I will be the Dawn Servant.
Yeah. As you're listening, if you get this right when this episode comes out, we're now waiting. Like, we're really waiting. We're waiting. The servers are down. We are now just pawing at the gates, rattling the cages, going, let us in, Yoshi P.
I love how you're speaking like we're in the future, because I'm in the game right now.
Have you seen Solution 9? This is the future.
I'm checking retainers right now.
All right, fine. So we're recording in advance, but
it's been 2 days since the live letter.
Yeah, like when this episode comes out, we're gonna be waiting. We are going to be listening to this, going like, man, why were we wasting our time not playing and just talking about it instead?
Again, I'm playing right now.
Okay, I am not. I am here, present in the Discord, recording this episode.
You underestimate my ability to multitask.
So, before we really get into it, though, something that one could do at home if you got it, what is the tabletop role-playing game? Because the starter sets are out there. The first wave of pre-orders have now reached people's homes. And Tobias and I tried it out the other day. And Tobias did a very good job GMing. Like, he had like sound cues and everything. It was actually really impressive. I was not used to that level of online prep and play. You did very good, but I was also surprised at how actually 14-ish the game was.
Yeah, so was I. We'd seen a lot of previews leading up to the release, and I instantly sort of could read between the lines and see how much of D&D 4th edition was here. And I know that 4E is not the most popular edition, but it is my personal favorite. I've gone to bat for 4th edition for the 10 plus years that we've gone through the edition wars at this point. Even knowing that, I was just shocked at how much more they captured the MMO gameplay here. Not only did you have your typical move, minor, and standard actions, they sort of, dialed in some of these OGCD abilities, some of these mitigations, for instance, into sort of D&D terminology and interrupts and whatnot. That just makes it work even better than you would expect. Everyone knows you're going to be using ADL, for instance, to respond to enemy damage. That's something you do. But in this, it is like an interrupt ability. So you're preemptively doing it. And it feels good to know that's coming in, to know your ability is there, ready to be used. I don't know. It's just the way they've sort of blended pen and paper and PC gaming together. It feels real good. And I like what they've done with this system.
I was also surprised at how well it captures how I remember playing ARR back in the day. Our previous episode before this one was one of our new, apparently, I guess, ongoing series that we're doing with Paul and Chili from Moogle Around Radio, where Ann and I were talking with them, and we were talking about playing ARR back when ARR was was the only thing you could play. It was when it was current. And playing the opening setting of the Tabletop Starter Edition, where you're in Thanalin and you're investigating like a missing crystal shipment, and what transpires from that felt very, this does feel like in tone and in context and everything. This feels like something you could have done when playing ARR, and the abilities and how everything, it just felt very, this is original Final Fantasy 14 2.0 stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you go back and you play through some of those earlier side quests, and even like the early MSQ, they're not like world sweeping quests like we're used to now. They're just kind of typical fantasy D&D style stuff. Go here, do this thing, beat up this bad guy, you're done. And I agree completely. This, since it is, a level 30 scenario, is something, right before you fight Ifrit and in the MSQ, like it feels ARR. Like I think you hit the nail on the head exactly.
I didn't want to go too far into it, but we did try it, and I found it was really neat, and I am very curious for the actual big boy books, as it were, to come out, because the one thing I kind of wish I had was to be able to actually more delve into actual character creation. Right now you've got the 4 jobs on offer: Black Mage, Dragoon, White Mage, Warrior. I want to see how the other jobs play. Do you actually get to plug points into your attributes? Do you get to do a little bit more of a customization, or is it really just you just pick your character, you put a name and race to it, and there you go? Or is there more to it on the customization side, which I might be okay with either direction, but I want to know what it is.
Basically, you just want to play Summoner, don't lie.
Yes. Look, you showed me like the previews they did from back when they were doing the stuff for like live streams and whatnot before they released the books, and these summoners still have dots. I want to go back to an earlier time. Some say a better time, back when summoners had dots. But that's not what we're excited for. I mean, we are excited for it, but what we're excited for right now is Dawntrail. It's coming, y'all. And just about a week or two ago, if you're listening, or just a few days ago for us recording, we had the live letter 82, and we finally got them saying that some of the things the media tour got wrong, but really what we got was the launch trailer.
It was a good one.
Oh shoot! This is something. This is happening. This is really we're going to Taral. We're going to do these things, and there is clearly more to it than meets the eye, but we don't know what it is yet.
Yeah, I mean, for the past year, it's almost been a year and a month and change. That we got the original trailer at FanFest, and we've got 3 different versions of that original opening cinematic that I've been watching on repeat pretty much every day since. It feels like I've got it memorized, in my mind. So to see another trailer in the game engine with the more story, it's more info, it's new info, which feels like of course we've got a lot of info, but it feels more info in the game. And yeah, so like we already know the stuff about the Dawn service and whatnot, but now we see a lot more with Solution 9 and the people there, including the enigmatic maiden. And there's a lot more questions than answers, honestly. But I guess that's what a trailer is there, right?
Oh yeah, I mean the biggest thing with the last 2. For Endwalker, it was definitely Alphino at the end. Someone was gonna die. And then for Shadowbringers, that's the one that ended with them telling us, oh, hey, by the way, Zodiark and Hydaelyn, they're primals. Have fun for the waiting until the launch. So yeah, I was expecting something. I was expecting it to end with me going, wait, what?
It ends with that big sentence that, can you save it without sacrificing anything? Is that says something like that? And it's heavily implying there's going to be a death. But like you said, it could be a fake out, might not be a fake out.
And it's funny because I'm like, didn't we just prove that with Endwalker? That the whole point was the ancients sacrificed to save the world, and the whole thing was, Hermes was like, you need to figure out how to live and respect all life, and so that's what we did. We did it without sacrificing anybody. Well, technically, there was self-sacrifice, that didn't count. But so it's like, didn't we just do this? We proved it can be done. So maybe she's from another shard and doesn't know that.
Yeah, maybe she's another one of Van Daniels or
No, it's not.
folks or somebody's, compatriot, another Asian maybe.
As much as I want to subscribe to that theory, and I have, I'm going away from it. Because Basil did bring up something interesting earlier, and I was like, I kind of would rather it go in that direction.
Actually, the Ignited Maiden is Kryl from another shard because they're both yellow.
Not that. Not your crackpot theory.
I think it's great. It probably won't be that too, but I do like that theory. I agree that it seems a little too obvious that the Maiden is Ultima, and it's so obvious the point where I really hope it's not the case now, even though I fear that may be true.
Well, we know that one of the things, because one of the questions asked during the media tour was, is there anything we should do to make sure that we're properly prepped for Dawntrail? And I believe the two things that Yoshida said in response to that question was he highly recommended everyone go through the Myths of the Realm Alliance raids. And also, do you remember all the names of the Convocation of 14? And he wouldn't. Yeah. That was his only two pro tips that he gave for us to go into Dawntrail with, as far as quote unquote prepping ourselves for this expansion. So who knows who the Maiden is? But and you mentioned a theory we just saw this just a little while ago.
Yeah, it was the symbol on her skirt, I think. Like the big broachy thing on her skirt. Someone put the connection that it looks very similar to, what was it, the crest of the city of Alexander, or
from Final Fantasy IX, like Garnet's the royal crest or what have you. That is very Alexander themed. Like the imagery of it is very similar to the imagery of that is like the parts of the maiden's dress.
Man, and are we getting Arc, like the actual Arc minion?
We're getting the Arc mount.
Oh, yeah.
Because Arc is, and it was a reference to Crew's Chaser Blasty, and then when we got Crew's Chaser in 14 or Alexander raids, they made it look like Arc from 9, and now we're getting the Arc mount, which is a recolor of the Cruise Chaser, but in the Arc colors.
Mm-hmm. And thinking more on it and adding more to it, we don't know its solution, and everybody's like, it's futuristic. So, Alexander was from the future. We just don't know when that future was. So maybe we're getting close to it. Maybe it is from the future and we're doing time travel shenanigans again or something. But also remember, during the live letter, they showed off another mount. Now, granted, it could be a PvP mount, but it is an Alexander mount in the form of Oppressor.
That's right.
The Kingdom of 9 is Alexandria.
Yeah.
They showed us a screenshot of Heritage Found that someone then also posted with a picture of Alexandria from 9. And if you were to take Heritage Found and put it in more of a broad daylight, sunny, not weirdly lightning, lemony color scheme instead, it sure does kind of got like Alexandria vibes.
Mm-hmm.
I think the whole thing where someone's like, so did you base the Viper off Zade? And Yoshida's like, no. Actually, we base it off Kirito from Sword Art Online because that's what people really want to play as is Kirito. I think he's just blowing air up us, and it really is Zade.
I mean, none of these references in the game to any of the other games is like a direct one-to-one thing, but it's pretty apparent what they're doing here. And after seeing that picture, that comparison you posted earlier, and even now just seeing like the connections to Alexander, like, yeah, I think that's the way it's definitely leaning toward doing something like that. And the way that the elemental fiends from 4 show up, they're not exactly the same elemental fiends, in the universe. But there's pretty much a big send up there. Yeah, I'm completely on this page with you now.
Now, am I still holding out hope for Arcadian being Asian connected? Hell yeah.
Well, and the Final Fantasy 14 team are incredibly good at taking references from other previous Final Fantasies and then reincorporating some of the visual language and theming of them, but completely recontextualizing them to be 14 unique and something that if it just happened to be in 14, you never would have thought about it being from something else. Like you look at Doma. Doma is a setting with characters from Final Fantasy VI, and you can play through 14 and you never realize what in the world Doma originally came from.
Yeah, I would have had no clue if you hadn't told me.
That's exactly what we're gonna see here. It's gonna be great for those that have played 9 and like really are ready for that big 9 fan service moment, but it's not gonna be like something you have to play the original to understand the context.
And I'm not gonna lie, I'm really enjoying all, for lack of better terminology, fangasming over the potential moments of 9 showing up. Because it's another Final Fantasy that's not 11. Now, I like the concept of 11. And every single 11 stand that I know, to every single one, are some of my favorite people in existence. Every one. But my goodness, when something in 14 is a thing that you could connect to 11, they will let you know that is from 11.
And just wait. Once the Alliance raid comes out, we're going to know even more.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to have some of them on. Like that. Again, it's just I'm like, man, okay, I get it. 11's very informative, especially for 14. I get it. Yeah, I get.
You wouldn't have to learn all this from other people if you would just play 11 and you could learn it yourself.
From the three of us here on this podcast, I'm the one that did play some 11. I played a decent chunk of it. I spent a few months in that game, and it was not good for me. 11 has some really great ideas and some really bad ones unless you have people to play with.
I mean, to be fair, all I heard going through Eureka was, man, this is just like 11. I'm sitting going, I don't want to play 11 now because I hated Eureka.
I feel like one of these days we're just gonna have to do a Patreon tier, like a Patreon bonus that gets us licenses, gets us like a couple months, and sit down and actually have our fans force us to play this game.
Yep.
That's a possibility. I could do another Patreon tier for that. We'll talk about that later. That's later. We also got a little bit of lore bits from all the various characters we're going to see, like this new character named Thancred. He looks interesting.
Oh, that is Thancred.
Yeah, this is Thancred.
And I love everyone's reaction to Graha waving us away. He's like, boy, get on this boat. He will. He'll be on in the second half. He'll come over. Oh,
one of the things I did want to talk about before I forget, the whole new role quest stuff. Because, for one, starts at level 92, which I think is the earliest they've ever done it, except when it was more tied to being job quests. Job quests did start at like the 2s and whatnot. And so this feels very much going back to that, but for roles. I also wonder if this is the case of they didn't really have a climactic moment for us to need to push it off later or whatnot. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm thinking like the Endwalker ones, that was, after the story, you're cleaning up all the monsters. And like that made sense to happen after the MSQ. But you got me thinking, like, I thought Shadowbringers role quests were earlier than later. Like, I thought they started like at 72 or whatnot.
They might have been early. I think maybe. Okay, now I gotta look. Hang on.
Like I didn't exactly notice it, until Endwalker, because the Endwalker ones are pushed until later. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, the Endwalker one started 85.
Okay.
But the Shadowbringers did start at it technically at like level. They introduced
70.
the concept at 70.
So yeah, those role quests essentially worked, and that's what I think has happened is they worked kind of like your normal class quests in that every 2 levels you did one. And I guess with Endwalker they were like, well, let's wait until 85 and then just have them do boom, 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 because at that point, I'm guessing here's what the reasoning is, because if you look at all the story beats for the role quests, you had to wait until 85, because up until 85, nothing of that was happening.
Yeah,
so that makes sense to why they started later. So yeah, I'm guessing these role quests will, be tied to the story, but also not as big as like those were.
They seem to be tied to the one like Western Town, right? That sort of area around Shalani, it looks like.
I haven't learned the names yet.
I actually I just looked at the screenshot. But yeah, like it looks like the role quests, they seem to imply they're tied to like these desert bandit group. And
yeah, no, I will say it was funny when they showed the very first screenshot of the role quest. Like you see the I think it's like an Elizin in the front. But then I look down and I see a Lalafell, and I swear that looks like Mr. Happy. Like he normally wears his frog hat, so no one. It's rare if you don't know what he looks like. But that Lalafell looked just like Mr. Happy. I found it entertaining.
If Mr. Happy was a random bandit in Fist of the North Star, because they showed all of this gear set that looks like it was very directly inspired by either Fist of the North Star or Mad Max or the like.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think they even made equivalent jokes thereof during the live letter. And it all looks great. It looks so great.
That's not the aesthetic I would have thought they would have gone for. It was certainly a curveball, and I don't dislike the curveball. It's really interesting. I really hope they do something really referential to something like Fist of the North Star in particular. They really, really push that, beyond Thunderdome stuff with it.
Yeah. Like at least there at least has to be one you are already dead joke in there somewhere. Like it's fine if it's like a quest name or an achievement or what have you, but it's got to be in there somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
If they haven't already done it somewhere. That's the other trick, is you never know when Koji or Kate struck. This also settled a wonder, if not an unofficial bet that Anne and I had, whether or not Valagarmonda was going to be a trial or a dungeon boss.
Well, I was just going by the fact that they really strung us along with the Magus Sisters with Endwalker. Like, they were really pushing that like it was a trial, and then it ended up not being a trial.
Oh, well, and Anima.
Yeah. And Anima, yeah.
They were really showing Anima, and they made Anima look, and admittedly, in Endwalker, Anima felt like it could have been a trial boss. It just happened to be a dungeon boss.
Right. And and again, I feel like the big caveat with Endwalker was just different because it was the COVID expansion. It was the end of the 10-year story. And so there's just a lot of things were done different. And I get, I applaud them for doing that and for sticking to that, because then we had no idea what the 83 trial was. And we all got there and went, what?
Yeah, hello?
We're not 90 yet.
That makes me wonder then, what's up with Devastator? We haven't seen Devastator in a bit, and it's obviously more linked to Solution 9 and what's going on with that group. But, we've already seen like the Arcadion and all of that stuff, for instance. We've seen this Hrothgar dude with the boombox in Solution 9. What did the Devastator have to do with all that? Is that going to be a trial? Is that going to be a boss? What could that be?
Well, we did see another trial. It was actually going to be later on after we do the plot lines of Dawntrail, because it's part of the Arcadion. We got to see someone named Black Cat in a place, because we saw a bit of the first fight,
but it sounded like Mamoru Miyano.
Yeah, as an announcer, because we're going through our first tournament arc.
I thought that was great, seeing the audience in the background and all of that. I love everything they set up for the year. It's just so much fun.
I was gonna say, it's only your first tournament arc if you haven't done Paladin.
That's true. Or Blue Mage.
Yeah.
But just the look of this one's got crowds. It's got crowds, and it doesn't look like crappy crowds either.
It was a Yu-Gi-Oh arena.
It was very. This graphics update is updating. Like, man, it is. It's looking good.
That crowd be bussin', like the kids say.
Which we are none of that.
For real, Cap. No, I don't know, man. Yeah. I don't know.
Look, if you want to know what the kids say, go listen to the video of Gaius doing his speech as a Gen Alpha.
God.
And then they showed like the important new raid series, like that's being introduced in Dawntrail, Cenote Jaja Garal, aka the new treasure dungeon.
It looks so good too.
I cannot wait to run around and Anna, you're getting to collect orange scripts now.
Uh-huh. Yay.
You sound so excited.
Oh, I'm so excited to get to in-game crafting again and redo all my melds.
Hey, you're getting all my materia.
Appreciate it.
You'll be getting all of it. Because I need to, before we actually get to Dawntrail, I need to go hobble on up to the place where that one goblin is, so I can start mashing materia together to create a bunch of crafting and gathering materia to add to my stacks.
No, I forget to do that. I just sell it.
I know. I save up all my combat materia from the expansion, and then I go over there and go, here you go, give me, here's 5 combat materia. Give me not combat in return. Thank you very much. And I just keep doing that for like a couple hours, and then I get a bunch of materia that I then hand to you so you can throw into the sun.
Well, we had 9 and 10, right? And we're about to hit 11 and 12 grade materia? Yeah. Okay.
That is, unless they have completely revamped materia, which doesn't sound like that's not yet. But that I think it'll be 11 and 12s. Yep.
I've got a whole page of a whole bunch of material that's just been sitting there, so I need to clear that out. What? Wait until Dawntrail comes out until we have 11, 12, then meld it. Is that right?
I mean, honestly, you could wait because a lot of times the older or the previous expansion materia will be used for crafting gear. Because sometimes it can help. It can be like the better meld, depending on what the gear set is.
Yeah, so with crafting and gathering, whatever to get the best stats is usually a mix of different materia types or the different like values. Whereas combat is very much you just want to keep chunking in the highest that you can for whatever.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that's not necessarily the case. When you get to like that's when you're melding like raid gear. When you're over melding, sometimes the lower ones are more useful because you can only put so many in. You can only put so many high end ones into your gear. Then you have to go into the older ones.
I guess I'm thinking you can only do like.
That's what I'm saying. You're thinking of raid gear. You're thinking of raid and tome gear. Yeah.
Well, what I mean is like, yeah, but usually it's the two highest ones, and then there's the one that's one lower, and then that's the rest of them
Sometimes.
for your stats for overmelding.
It just depends.
I think all of what I'm hearing is this is above my head still.
That is what the balance Discord is for.
I think maybe in a year or so when I get to that point, I'll have to go back and meticulously make these choices of what I need for each piece of gear. But for now, in my ignorance, save my inventory space for the next set of materia and gear and everything else that we're about to get.
And our tombstones of aesthetics and heliometry. Heliometry?
We get Joy-Cons now.
Yeah. Oh, and then they showed off when the two of the most coolest updates, like the ability to hide nearby players when you get close to like a quest icon NPC.
That'll be really good for launch and then for streamers.
Because it's always a thing where you press X, but this will just like hide the people, and then you can even have a setting where it just gets rid of the people, so that way it's just you and the NPCs, and they can actually do their hand gestures and stuff, and then more, possibly just as important, the ability to be able to select the appropriate emote from like your quest log and the duty list. That's a game changer. That right there is. I didn't know I wanted it until they said we're getting it.
Exactly.
No more having to put Beckett on your bar for the early leaves.
Or doubt, because that was one of the Akasadora flings where you had to go around and be like, you didn't pay your bill. Doubt.
Oh, it's so bad. I just finished the Ixo quest, and there's one where you have to actually say things to people, like whole phrases, and you can't like not do the capitalization correct. It's all case sensitive, so you have to type it exactly like it is.
And they do that for they still do that.
Ugh. I hope they fix that. I hope they add that to these bars, because I'll do it.
I mean, they tell you what to say in the thing.
Yeah, but it's the same thing here. You got to do it every time, every day. You retype it.
Well, I feel like they have changed it a little, because used to, you're right, it had to be the exact thing that's what you had to put. But then now it's like you can put whatever you want. It just has to include this phrase.
But the phrase does have to be exact in there.
I know that Moogles are next. I know everyone loves doing the Moogle quest line, so I'm ready for it.
Oh my gosh, when I saw the Moogles were part of the Pictomancer, I was like, really?
Hey, the Moogles gave us the true meaning of being a Dark Knight. They can give us the true meaning of being a Pictomancer. It's fine. They also showed, I cannot wait to do 2 dies. Cannot wait to do 2 dies. Did y'all know that we're going to be able to dye things 2 colors?
This is a thing that I think I'm glad it exists more than I'm excited to actually do it. I've never really got into dyeing stuff. I'm generally okay with the colors it gives us. Very occasionally, I've actually dyed stuff. And I don't know. I don't think that's the thing that really personally excites me. Although I think I'm really more excited for the glasses being a separate slot.
Even though it's not, it's fashion accessory glasses, not gear glasses.
Yeah, I mean that's fine, really, I guess, right? Because you still have a head slot. I mean, like the glasses don't have to give us more. Because if it was a separate actual gear slot, we would just replace belts with glasses. We put the belts on our face. So I'm fine with it just being a fashion accessory rather than.
So for me, and maybe they will do this more because of course they're going to give us more rewards, and more glasses types would be a good reward. But I have had very specific glasses I've used for 4K for a long time now. And the glasses that I have used when I use glasses on 4K are not one of the ones that are a fashion accessory currently. So I was sad to realize that the glasses that I was planning on using for my character going into Dawntrail, I am not going to be using going to Dawntrail. Now, if they give us ability to take these glasses and turn them into fashion accessory glasses, that's different. I also don't know. I know they're giving us color options, but the color options are not as varied as the dice system itself. So once again, I don't know if I'm going to get the actual colors I truly wanted out of the current system. I'm sure I can make it work. I'm sure it'll be fine. But what I was looking forward to, it's not exactly what it is.
So it's just like the new character creator in the benchmark. It's not exactly what your character was. So it has that, I don't know, what do you call it? The uncanny valley effect, where it's just different enough where it feels off.
No, I mean, I like my character in the character. I mean, I like the new graphics updates they're doing. Okay, yes, I guess they got rid of Lalafell belly buttons, and that feels a little, I mean, okay, I guess.
Wait, what?
Yeah, apparently when people were doing stuff, they discovered that, at least in the latest benchmark update, Lalafells don't have belly buttons. And I have not really explored that very hard because I don't really look at my character's belly button. But some people do. Some people that's important. And that is an odd omission that, who knows, maybe 7.0 will come out and they all have belly buttons and it was just a weird oopsies that just happened to happen in the new updated benchmark. But I guess we'll see. We did see.
I mean, have you ever seen a belly button on a potato?
I have seen lots of little equivalent like dimples and things in potatoes, sir. Like that is not, the fact that we won't.
Those are eyes. Those are called eyes. Those are not belly buttons. Those are eyes, and they grow after the potato. They don't start with the potato.
Potato. They showed us though a very pretty umbrella, a couple of very pretty umbrellas.
I know, and I'm like, I love it, but I really worked hard for my gold saucer umbrella with my triple triad card. But I really like that iridescent one. I liked all of them. Yeah. They're all very pretty.
I like that. I liked the cat minion that kind of looks like our cat Carbuncle. That was pretty great. I like the flying like sugar glider squirrel.
I love that I have been talking this entire expansion every time we went into treasure maps and we got those wings and started flying. I was like, well, no, why can't that be a mount? Well, guess what the new extreme mounts are going to be? We get wings.
They threw us off, Tobias. I thought we were doing a Mountain Dew collaboration, not Red Bull.
I'm interested to see what the different colors are. Like, are they gonna try to make it? The wings that we saw were from Valagamanda. They kind of implied that. So, like, what is the Devastator? Is it just going to be like purple wings, or is it going to be like robot wings, or what? Like, what are they going to do with the variations this time?
Yeah. Or they could just completely throw us and they not all match.
True.
They've never done that, but
No, they showed us all sorts of new things. Though I think one of my favorite moments was because they were playing clearly like a development build of the area. Yoshi P was trying to show some of the graphic updates, and he's flying, and he just goes and he's like, "I want to show it right here," and right in front of him is an aether current while he's flying, And they all went, "Oh, that's not supposed to happen." And so Yoshida hops off his mount to attune to the aether current so he could fly again. And I was like, "Good job, y'all. Good job." But that was most of the live letter. It was not the longest one, but it had some neat stuff. And again, that trailer. I've watched that trailer so many times, both in English and Japanese, just so I know what they're saying, but also I hear the voices that I'm supposed to be hearing.
I will say Basil did call who the narrator was going to be. We talked about it the day before. I realized that we never speculated who our narrator would be for this expansion, and it is going to be Aaronville. I thought it could be Wooklamont, but...
Well, he's like the more studious type, and Wooklamant's clearly our shonen power hero. So it feels more like, if someone was going to be talking while reading a book or something, it feels more of an Aaronville type thing. Because again, it's very much the Moonbrita Urianger dynamic between those two, and Aaronville is more the Urianger type.
Yeah, and I mean, if Aaronville is the one narrating the story, that leaves room for Wooklamont to die at the end, because she's gonna die.
Why would you put that magic on us, Ricky Bobby? Why would you? Why would you do that?
I mean, she's got pretty big death flags at this point. I don't know. It may happen. It may not happen. I'm kind of 50-50.
No, I don't see her as having death flags.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think in the league, she's not going to win the War for Succession. I feel like
if she does, she's got to go through a big change in this expansion. Because right now she would not be a good leader, I feel. Like she's got a lot to learn.
My vote is for Koana. Koana's going to win, I think, at the end of it.
I don't know. Then we have a stuffy Charlie. We don't need another one of those.
That's fair.
I would like to see who the other, not, I know we know that there's the one that people don't want, but I want to see we don't know much about the other two, and I want to learn more about them.
Right.
But I would say I did tell Basil, I was like, and the one thing we haven't talked about, and the fact that we haven't talked about it is just blasphemy. You see two Lullafels in this trailer going into what looks like a vault, and one is crying, and one looks very much like Kryl. So Basil I said, "That's not Kryl," and he said, "No. What if it's her parents? Because she was adopted. So we wonder if this has something to do with her parents." And I wonder, what if we find them? Like, do you think she would come back with this, or do you think she would stay? Could we lose Kryl this expansion? They've really hyped her up. They're like, we put her on the sideline for too long. She's going to be more of a main character. And what if she is, and then we lose her?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that we're going to lose a Scion. Like they're starting to. They've already added Zero, kind of, and they're going to add Zero later. We know that. So like they only usually work with a limited cast of characters. So, like we already got rid of Lise and Papa Lebo. Rip.
I think Ishtola would be I would put that Ishtola would be the next to go.
We're never going to get rid of Ishtola. Let's be honest. Like I agree with you. Like I think she served her purpose generally, narratively, but they're never going to get rid of Ishtola. Like she's the mascot character. I can't see her actually being rid of the story.
Yeah.
Even if it would be a good thing to do. So my bet is either Graha or Kryl. And now that you mentioned that about Kryl, I'm completely on board with that. I think I can see that happening.
Like, I thought Thancred and Urianger would be gone pretty soon, but the fact that they were both kind of focused a little more than Ishtola in 6.4 and 6.5, I was like, okay, cool. We get to do a little more of the dads, but yeah, I don't know.
I was thinking before y'all started talking about Kryl leaving, I'm like, no, they wouldn't do it. They did it. They just built her up. They just turned her into a whole new class. They finally, she's got a whole new character model, or at least new clothes and stuff. And it's just like Lise.
Yeah. They did the same thing with her.
So I don't.
She gets her big expansion and then she left.
I think we are forever stuck with Thancred Urianger. I think those are now a set, and we might either we keep them forever, or they're very much they're now guest starring characters. They're now like reoccurring. They're not mainline characters as if this was a TV show.
I feel like we will lose them. Yeah, I feel like we will lose them and Ishtola when we figure out how to go to other shards. Like, I think that will definitely, the second that we really know how to go to other shards, you know, effortlessly, I think we will lose the three of them. Because obviously, Ishtola's going to go to the first, and she wants to go to all of them, but she'll go to the first. Thancred and Urianger will go to the first. Urianger will want to go see more of stuff because he's like Ishtola. He wants to learn things. So I feel like that is whenever we really establish shard travel.
Also really depends on how that also plays out. I could easily see if we get actual shard travel, suddenly Reed and Gaia might join the team. And so Thancred sticks around not to be an important character, but now to be an actual like mentor, father figure for them. Yeah. I think we'll be forever stuck with the twins. I think those are the actual like personal mascots. And
though you know who will really lose when the shard travel happens? Nero. He's gone. He's already gone to the moon. He will be like, I'm out. I'm gonna go find other things. And of course, it'll go with him.
Unless they kill Graha, and I don't think they're going to kill Graha. I think he is another one we might be forever attached to, because unless they bring out like Corvus or something, unless they give him a reason to do something else that's important to him, we're it.
Yeah.
And they've already technically killed him once, so. It's kind of like Thancred. They ain't going to kill Thancred. They ain't going to kill Y'shtola. They've lived through too many already existing death flags. If they pull the trigger now, as it were, then why? You know, that feels weird and silly. Don't do that. But I could also see us losing Scions. Which it's funny because they're not Scions anymore. Scions technically doesn't exist. But if we lose them, I think it's going to be not through death, but through them getting attached to other plot beats.
Yeah.
The leasification of characters.
And who knows? Maybe Elise will come back once things in Alamigo are pretty. We never know. Or, like you said, Reed and Gaia could become part of things. Zero, if she can shard travel, we could have her. We could have Durante. We could have certain people that may have been reborn.
That's hopeful.
Oh, Anna.
Hey, I just watched the end of Pandemonium again. Do not. Nope. No. It's a valid thing.
You can hold that little bit of hope. It's perfectly fine. I wouldn't judge you for that.
Okay.
so much of that, like, we're gonna have to see what happens in like 8.0 and stuff, because like we don't know what's gonna happen in Dawntrail. I'm pretty sure we're gonna lose a Scion, but you're right. There's just so many choices.
Yeah, like losing a Scion doesn't necessarily mean dying.
And this could be a case of now who gets to be the cast of characters. Maybe it's just much more malleable than it used to be. Maybe it's just a case of, well, for this one, we're going to focus on these three. And now for this patch cycle, we're going to focus on these three. And for this next expansion, we'll do these. But this expansion, we're going to focus on they could make it a much more variable sort of thing. Just because they're not focused now doesn't mean they won't be a focus later.
We're going to have the Scions of the 8th Dom. It's going to go back to the Circle of Knowing and the Students of Aldessian as separate groups.
I mean... So what are any other storyline beats that you've been thinking about that you might see or want to see or don't want to see?
I've said many a time I'm curious about the whole does Xenos have a sibling? But I'm just really curious. I am really curious to just see how wrong we are about things. You know, we are so convinced Solution 9 is going to be about Alligans. We're so convinced it's,
It's ancients. It's
there's so many things we're so convinced about. Yeah, it's ancients. We're the Arcadian. We have we know it's a computer, but like I'm just so excited to see how wrong we are and how they're going to be able to surprise us, because they always do.
Yeah, I'm trying not to theorycraft too hard, because I know that it's just going to fall apart within 5 minutes of the game happening. My big prediction is that the end of 7.0, we're going to basically learn that the Solution 9 is more or less the equivalent of a Crystal Tower time-traveling twinning situation. And it's going to be the solution that solves the 13th in the next game. And 7.0 is going to end with Zero showing up in some form. And we're going to see that sort of a lead up into the 13th stuff.
Doing a go back essentially. I am very curious as to what this invasion thing looks like, or why. Because a solution. That's what I'm wondering. Is like Solution 9. Does it just show up? Was it always there? Does it just show up? Is that what's happening? Is like we've mentioned, sort of Alexander-ish. Did it just appear? It's in the same bubble like Alexander. So, this whole invasion thing, like. Because you see them attacking
something,
Tuliyola or someone, like you see them attacking those people. So it's like, why? Why is this happening? Where are they from? Why are they doing it? Because I did not expect that. That is actually one thing that really surprised me with the trailers. I didn't expect that kind of, I guess, connection. I assumed we'd have Rite of Succession and then Weird Allegan shit going on. I didn't really expect them to mesh that much. Just kind of go into each other. But yeah, so I'm very interested to see, because they look very similar to the world that we see in Dead Ends. Like the second world there, we see very similar models in those people. That was very, the Garlemald-esque world, but like the future-esque people. Like, I'm curious to know, are they an offshoot, or like what? Yeah, like what's going on there?
We know that in the story they've called it the City of Gold, and this trailer especially made it seem like that is the City of Gold they've been speaking of. If we think about the real mythological El Dorado, the City of Gold, in our own history, I feel like maybe if we think of it as an Alexander thing, maybe it's a city that was time separated. You remember, basically, did you ever watch Razafan?
Oh, back when it was new.
Yeah, so like the stick with Razafan is that there's a part of Tokyo where time flows differently than the rest of the world. So like there's sci-fi stuff on the outside, but in the city it feels like a 1990 Tokyo. So like I wonder if it's the inverse here, where inside this Alexander bubble, time has progressed to future stuff, but the outside is still Eorzea. So I kind of wonder if maybe that's what's going on.
Well, technically it's not Eorzea. Remember, we're not actually in Eorzea. We are in a whole different continent.
At Theros, the star.
Yeah.
If one is like separated from time from the rest of the planet, like so far we've been thinking of it as basically a shard hopping thing, or like a separated, a different dimensional thing. But what if it's just a time separated thing?
Yeah, and again, that would fit very much with Alexander.
Yeah, exactly. So many theories. It could be anything. We have 2 whole days to find out, right, guys?
So I have a question for you. How are you enjoying getting to do this? Because this is your first expansion, I think, that you've really gotten to theorycraft like this.
Yeah, and I was still in Heavensward when Endwalker came out, so I tried to ignore everything that I heard about it. It's I mean, as far as just the narrative is concerned, since I know everything that we know there is to know, I'm still trying to avoid putting too much thought into it because I'm used to doing that with, every time a new franchise movie comes out, my brain starts spinning, and I get in my head better ideas than maybe they put out, or it feels like they're better ideas. So I feel maybe disappointed in a way, or I feel like my expectations are shifted, and it feels weird that things are so drastically different. So I'm trying to not do that this time.
And this is just me. I will say, what we've done for Dawntrail is what Basil and I have done for years, and that level of speculation and what if it's this or what if it's this. I will say, once you start playing, you kind of don't think about it much. Like, you're gonna get to parts that something will happen and you'll go, oh hey, I was right, or hey, that was not what I expected from what I saw. That you'll get moments like that, and then as you're playing, Basil and I, while we were playing Endwalker, is when Basil came up with the, hey, I think Xenos is going to show up in the last fight and help us. And I'm like, no. And then we get to the end and I'm like, I hate you. So, but, you will do, like I said, it won't be that as you play it, you're going to think of things that you thought about beforehand, but you're going to be so immersed in it. I don't think it'll be that big of a either disappointment or not about what you predicted versus what happens, and it'll be fun. I'm excited to get to see how you enjoy this, being in current and being able to do this with everyone. I think it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for that part for sure.
Yeah, they've been also very good at the whole subverting expectations thing. They have always been very, very deft at zigging in a way that you thought they were to zag. But when they zigged, you're like, no, that's more of a zog? Like, what is it? That's not even a zig. That's not a zag. No, you just went that way. That was not... What?
And even moments where you totally can see it coming, it's still like, oh yeah, I totally see that coming, but that's still so cool.
Yeah, exactly.
The one thing I really want to see happen is now that, because there was a live letter between the one that we're talking about and the last time we talked about a live letter, which was all the job action trailer and all the job changes and things. And me, as pointed out by everyone, including myself, I'm a lifelong Summoner main. And the big thing Summoner's getting is this thing called Solar Bahamut. And what they said, and I'm quoting this from the Letter of Producer Live 81 digest from the Square Enix 14 forums, the official translation they said was, quote, some theorize that the current form of Bahamut, based on when it was revered as a primal during the Age of Alag, is different from its original appearance. A plot which further thickens with the introduction of a new summonable version of Bahamut. Now,
so you may be right.
The way the summoners work is that we sort of intermingle with the essence of a primal doing its primal thing, whether it was Ifrit or Garuda or Titan or Bahamut or Phoenix, and we figure out their sort of etherical essence from the land's ether that's been infused by that primal doing their primal stuff. That gives us the knowledge to create our Eggy and Demi versions of that primal. So theoretically, if I am going to be summoning a Solar Bahamut, that means that I have to intermingle with the etherical presence of Solar Bahamut. So that means that Solar Bahamut needs to show up in the plot somewhere, somehow. I don't know if it's the main storyline. I don't know if it's part of the role quests. I don't know if Solar Bahamut is the version of Bahamut revered in Solution 9. Maybe that's why it looks sort of weirdy, like swordy, and a little bit more sci-fi-y than the Bahamut that we're used to from Alag. I I don't know. Or is this a case of they're just saying that, oh, well, now you know how to manipulate Aether. You can make this is your summoner making your own version of Bahamut, which means that the summoner is now one step closer to having the same power sets of an ancient. I don't know. And I am really hoping that this is actually a plot point that gets touched upon.
This is sort of the one thing that I miss from the class quest and the job quest, in lieu of the job or the general role quest, is that, looking back at the original summoner stuff from ARR, like you're learning how to summon these individual Aggies, and you're like picking up this forbidden knowledge. And I think even the Heavensward is the one where like you're tracking down who was that one general from the end of Heavensward? Like you have to fight that guy again. And it was cool because like you only could do that in the summoner job quest, and you get to see, the lore reasons for you doing this stuff. And I think that would be a great candidate for a Dawntrail summoner job quest that we're never going to get because we're in Fist of the North Star instead.
And I get it, because there's so many jobs and they keep introducing new ones with every expansion. And it is much easier to develop 5 sets of role quests and make them all good than it would be to make 21 sets of 5 quests. There's just so much more now than there was back then. And it feels like it's just going to be getting more so every time. So I get why they do role quests, but again, this does feel like Solar Bahamut's like it feels like a thing, and or needs to be a thing.
Yeah.
And if it's just there and they don't really explain any of it, then that feels really weird and off, and I'm not going to like it. So hopefully they don't. Hopefully that's not what they do. Hopefully there is a reason why I'm getting Solar Bahamut and it's important, and I will be happy.
I hope you get Solar Bahamut too, Basil.
It looks cool. I get to cast Exodus. That's the ability
the book from the Bible?
No, it's the ability that severed Zodiarch. That's the name of the Heidelin kick.
Okay.
Why does Solar Bahamut use Exodus? And this is mostly, I know this because when we're fighting Heidelin in the trial after the crystal phase where we're beating up the crystals, and she does the Heidelin kick on us. In Japanese, she's calling out Exodus.
Okay.
That's why I know this is Exodus. I know that's what Exodus is, because when we were farming her for mounts, I would hear her yell out Exodus a lot.
What if you don't come in contact with Solar Bahamut? But what if it is some kind of fusion between what you've seen with Heidelin and Bahamut?
That would be fine.
Just as long as they explain it.
Yeah, as long as they explain it. That's all I really particularly care about. Because, again, that's the way they have described how summoning works. Now that you're giving me a new summon that's not any of the other summons. It's not like I'm summoning Alexander. I'm not summoning Ravana. I'm not summoning Ramu. There's so many primals I've already fought and could be summoning, and I'm not. But I am summoning this solar variant of Bahamut. Why?
I guess the thing we need to remember also is that in Endwalker, we had the lunar primals as well, which are, of course, both a reference to the after years, but really they're just the lunar primals. They're powered by the moon, and Fandaniel made his purple flavored primals. So in this, we're going to get yellow flavored primals. Other than that, we're talking about the City of Gold. We're talking about the Dawn Servant. The name of the expansion is Dawntrail. We're going to talk to Kryle's grandfather. The Dawn Warriors. So the sun is going to be an important part, and the dawn is going to be an important part thematically of this expansion. So I don't think, I want what you want, Basil. I want you to be happy. I don't think we're going to get a reason for Solar Bahamut, But I think we're going to see a reason for solar energy specifically, and that will explain sort of why you have a variation.
Yeah, I guess it's possible. And I guess we'll just wait and see.
We'll find out in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah. And again, for people listening, less than 2 days.
Yep.
All right, so before we wrap this up, is there anything else we would like to talk about?
Everybody, go get your bubble tea in a month.
Yes, get bubble tea in a month if you have a gongcha near you, or have friends or family in a place that has them, or you can travel decently close to go get them, like we will be doing.
You can Venmo me, the $12 or so or whatever for 3, and I will send you the code if you give me bubble tea.
Yes. Like I was telling someone a friend of mine lives close to Denver, and he said they have like 4, and he was like, "Do you need me to go get you some?" I said, "Well, no." I said, "I appreciate it." I said, "We actually live close enough to Atlanta. We're gonna go actually spend some time with friends that we always talk about doing a weekend that we're not at a convention, so we'll actually get to see some friends that way." Or, like you said, I have a family in Charlotte, so I was looking to call my sister and be like, "Hey, go buy like 6 drinks for me. I'll send you the money. You don't have to drink them if you don't want to."
I do think it's funny. Like, this is a little bubble tea sort of franchise that I've seen a couple here in Greensboro. It's just funny to be the one thing.
Part of me wonders if that was the one Mippa was talking about before, and I don't remember. But I was like, here's one thing you could do. Because you need 3. If it's just you, if you don't have anyone to go with, or you don't have anyone that likes them, and maybe they'll let you do this, I'm not sure. Can you maybe pay for 3 and like say, okay, whoever comes in can have them? Like, next 2 people to come in to get a drink gets it for free because I'm paying for it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can do that or not, but
the one cool thing about Gongcha, and we have a lot of bubble tea places here, they like seal the top of the drink. It's not just a little plastic lid. They actually seal the top.
Oh yeah, that's what Kung Fu Tea does as well.
So I'm just gonna, worst case scenario, if I don't have anybody else, this stuff's going home with me, going in the freezer.
Yeah, I will say, like, because when they Kung Fu Tea did a Miraculous Ladybug collab back in February, and I wanted to get a bunch of the stickers for it because they were very cute, and I have a collection problem if you know me, and so I really liked it was like a strawberry lemonade type drink that they did for that, and I really liked it, and it actually worked out like you said, because we would go buy a couple, because we would have like a buy one get one free, so like Basil would buy one and I get that one, or he would buy me a couple, and I could stick them in the fridge. And I would keep one in the fridge for a couple of days before I would even get to drink it. And so, yeah, so if they have anything similar like that, I wouldn't mind.
Because
I don't think we can do that because we're gonna pay for friends to get their drinks because we won't be able to. But yeah, if you can get a drink that's sustainable that way, that would be a good idea.
Order it without ice.
Yes. Exactly.
I'm just saying this sugar tea milk water, that's not going to waste.
Just like Mountain Dew.
So come July, we're getting 2 awesome new mounts: the Mountain Zoo and the King Pork. Is it King Porksy or Queen?
King.
Okay, so it is King. That's weird because we have the Queen Porksy from, or was it a King in? Because it was a mom and the mother Porksy. That's it. It was the mom, but it's her model. So it's, I don't know. I
Look, all I know is when I was searching for things about Gongcha, Apparently, on the Wikipedia also mentions some locations also provide food options, including the recent addition of mochi waffles. And now I really want mochi waffles.
Ooh. You didn't tell me about that.
I just saw it. You found out within like a few moments of me reading it.
Okay, well, then go. Awesome.
Like, yeah, it's just mochi waffles. So also if our Patreon backers donate a lot of money, we can play Final Fantasy 11. But if they donate even more money, we can get these really expensive Alphino and Alice Dolphies.
Oh my gosh, no. I will say though, those look better to me than the Estola one.
I don't like Dolphies.
Yeah.
And I say Estola one. They look less creepy than even Sailor Moon also had some, and those were creepy too.
Dolphies look like the things the McElroys talk about when they buy haunted dolls off eBay. I do it. If you like collecting the Dolphies, more power to you. I really wish you luck in your endeavor and your finances. But
Dolphy or Pop? Which one's creepier?
Ooh. Dolphies are creepy. Pops are just ugly.
But see, Basil thinks they're creepy.
I think they're creepy. I think they're ugly. I think they're a scourge upon the land. And I would rather you have $600 worth of a Dolphy than $600 worth of Pops.
I feel like we're already at the latter. I don't think I spent $600 on Pops.
But if you're going to spend $600 on anything, frankly, it should be one of the secret lab chairs.
Which we have coming. Now, granted, my mother was very nice, and I believe it's a very early Christmas present for us, because she is going to help us with the payments. But we did get 2, and we did get the cushions.
I will not be myself, but I'm again glad that you guys are doing this. I kind of want one of those lumbar cushions, but I don't know how I feel about lumbar cushions, honestly.
Well, and it's funny, we actually both have a lumbar cushion on our chairs at the current. They're just different pillows that we have, but so yeah, we definitely like having that kind of.
So I've got
support.
an Alienware chair for our upstairs office, and I have noticed that I get much less like back and butt pain out of that chair than I do the office chairs downstairs where we actually do stuff. So
okay.
In the Secret Labs, it's the same kind of chair, and so I am looking forward to having this better chair. I feel bad for our cat Carbuncle because she will not be able to climb on the top of the chair. But I've also noticed because she can't climb the top of the chair upstairs, she doesn't scratch it nearly as much as you scratch the chairs downstairs. So I feel bad about it for her that she can't destroy our chairs, but also she can't destroy our chairs.
Yeah. And, again, this is not the first time that 14 has done a chair collab in a sense. And I believe they were Secret Lab chairs probably before. I don't remember for sure if they were Secret Lab. But I know at different events and, like, when I believe maybe it was FanFest or, again, like I said, different events, they've had 14 themed chairs. And they were nice. They just had, like, the meteor symbol on it, really. But they never sold them. So, and at that point, when they first did one before, I told Basil, I said, if they ever sell those, I said, that would be worth, getting. And he was like, yeah. He said, but I would hope they'd make them a little better than those. I was like, yeah, they're kind of plain. So when they announced that this collab was coming, he and I talked, and we were like, we've talked about this for probably a decade at this point.
I'm kind of like in your situation where I'm very skeptical about chairs. I've had a like basic gaming racer chairs before, and there's no support. Like it doesn't work for me, and I'm gonna need one in a year or so to replace this one. But I'm gonna wait. I know I've heard a lot of good things about Secret Lab, but again, I heard good things about general racing chairs back then, and I had a bad time. So I'm just really hesitant. I'm definitely going to wait for your reviews before I make my purchase.
Yeah, and like I said, the chairs we currently have are Amazon. They are Amazon office chairs. And we've had them for 7 years. They were very good chairs. And they were they weren't even half. They were less than half the price.
Yeah, they were like
of
200, maybe 300 at most. Like, it was not.
Yes. So if you don't want to pay for one of these, you could totally get a chair like this, and I will make you a paladin or just a meteor symbol decal, whatever you want. But yeah, it's one of those we're a little crazy, but we had help. But we even said if we didn't have that, we were going to go back to a similar chair like we have, because they were good chairs.
If I didn't have a racing style chair upstairs that I have sat in for multiple hours and was like, wait, how long have I been sitting in this chair? I have very much debated on lugging it downstairs to replace my office chair. But because I had sat in that racing chair for so long at a time and not had, even when these chairs that I'm currently sitting in were new, I also might be better built for dealing with sitting in that style of chair as well. I know, for example, Anna really likes playing on the couch. I don't actually like couches. I like chairs.
Well, it does hurt my butt. To be fair, the reason I did start playing on the couch like this is because the elevation helped. Like, my wrist is weird, but I'm hoping now that I've gotten more, I've strengthened my wrist more, that I think I'll be able to go back to the desk with that chair for Dawntrail. I say for Dawntrail, post Dawntrail-ish, because Basil and I learned with Endwalker we can't play in the same room. Because I would get just a little bit ahead and, say like in a thing from, like, in From the Cold. I'm sitting there having a full-blown panic attack, and he's going, what the hell is wrong with you? And I'm like, nothing!
It was, yeah, we should probably play separately as far as that goes, because previous expansions, even if we were in the same room, because of jobs and things, we would be playing at different rates. Like, we weren't playing at the same time, the same quest, the same, whereas Endwalker, we were doing that. So I think us being in separate rooms is sort of smart.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the majority of people playing this game are not married couples that are playing together. And when you look at or you look at like other activities, like, watching a TV show, that's something you can do together because it's not, interactive in the same way. So I can see this would be challenging in a unique way, more so than, other media.
All right.
Now, I have told him, because between then and now, because I have become fans of Grinding Gear and they play together, I had told Basil, I was like, I mean, we could always, because he's debated on streaming it. I said, if you wanted to do that, we could kind of go the route that those guys do, in that they read it. Like, they would read it together and they would sync up their cutscenes and things like that. And so it's one of those, I'm like, do we want to do it? But then I also know I'm the person, I do all the side quests as I go along the story. I can't leave anything on the screen or on the map as I'm going, unless I just really can't do it then, because, like, I haven't done the, if it's like a class or a craft and gathering thing or something. But, like, I do all the side quests. Like, I will change to another job and level one job through MSQ, one job through side quest as I'm going through the MSQ. And I have done that since Realm Reborn. So, I figure that might affect, being able to do that kind of play style. But yeah, I have brought that up to him as well. So
you'd have to plan out like the MSQ specifically for that. You could do the side quests, do your crafting gathering stuff on the side, but it would require you to pace yourself, which, Anna, I don't know if
I do not pace myself.
Yeah.
I do not pace myself.
I'm going to take my time. I'm not going to wake up early. I'm just going to play. I haven't taken any time off work. I'm just going to take my time to do it. And I know that is the complete opposite of like you and a lot of other people I've seen. So like,
right. Well, like I'm always fearful of spoilers. And so that, and again, it's funny because I only became like this, I don't know, maybe Stormblood? Not even really Stormblood, maybe Shadowbringers. Because Realm Reborn, it took me months to finish. And I mean, even, you know, as things are coming, like Heaven's Word, I don't think I finished it in the first week. Stormblood, maybe I finished it in the first week, even with Raubon's Extreme happening. Endwalker took us a week because of the queues and me going back to work, because I only took like 1-2 days off at max, and I had to go back to work, so like it took us a week to get through the story. So, but this one particularly, it's coming out at a time that I need a vacation anyway. Like I don't usually take that much time off, because if I take time off, it's for cons. So I really wanted to do a vacation type thing, and this comes at a good time because it's right before 4th of July. So I'm only taking off, like, technically I'm only going to be taking off 3 days. Pretty good. And then we have the holiday, and then I'll come back to work on that Friday. So I'm actually looking forward to, well, it's a break, but it's a staycation, but it's also gonna be fun. Like, and you know, it's not like we're gonna get up at 4 a.m. and go ham for 16 hours. No, I'll probably go for 4 or 5 hours and then take a nap. Like, I'm not Elo. I won't have my crafters all to 90 by noon.
So that's where it happened, actually, was Stormblood. Because that's when we got Elo. And suddenly you had competition on who could get the most classes to max level first.
Yeah.
Specifically
that's
combat
fair.
classes. We didn't count crafters and gatherers. It was only combat quests. And I'm pretty sure that started with Stormblood.
You're right. It did, because I won Stormblood, he won Shadowbringers, and I believe I won Endwalker. Yeah, that was.
You had the impetus that you had to get through the storyline, you know, as quick as possible, because you had to get as many characters up to max level as possible.
So that was, you know, and so Shadowbringers and Endwalker, like, I definitely took more time to get through them, but I also, it's also one of those, the story is always so good. I binged a fanfic last night when I couldn't sleep, because I was like, this is really good. I want to finish reading it. So, you know, I also get in that hyperfixation type mindset.
Which is why I think this is a great time to hit wrap on this episode, our episode of getting really excited, because Dawntrail is gonna be in a day or two as of you listening to this.
Maybe.
Well, hopefully.
I just mean if they happen to go back later, like if we have a friend like we've had in the past that is not current yet, maybe they'll go back and listen to this when they are current.
Okay, that's valid. That's valid. I was really like, no, maybe we'll release the episode the week after Dawntrail. Like, no, don't do that. Like, no, like, you know, like,
no.
Tobias is going to stay hale and hearty and whole. He's going to get it out, and I'm going to be feeling well enough to be able to put it out, and it's going to be great. Don't worry about it.
I wasn't doing that. That was you.
This episode is edited by Tobias, because thank you so much, Tobias, for picking up the slack of Anna's poor wrists. Our theme song was initially composed by the AwesomeCast theme was done by DJ Nabito. You can find his at djnabito.com, but it has been arranged by Anna. Our website is carbunclechronicle.com, but that just points you to the awesomecast.com, because we're a part of the AwesomeCast podcast family, where you can also find links to things like the AwesomeCast Patreon and the AwesomeCast Discord and TeePublic and other places that you can interact with us. We've also got YouTube channels for both the AwesomeCast and the Carbuncle Chronicle, so if that's how you listen, please subscribe, like, ring bells, do whatever the things is that YouTube requires you to do. Leave us Apple Podcast reviews or Spotify reviews. Anywhere that you can leave us 5 stars for the podcast, please do. Also, if they ask for you to put in text, do that. You know what? This episode, drop your favorite 14 fan fiction. So when next time Anna has horrible insomnia, she knows which fanfics to read. You can also find all our stuff on various social medias, either at Carbuncle Chronicle or CarbyCast. I've also got my social media stuff is at its basal time. Anna, where can they find you?
Search Angel Darkfire without the middle A, and you most likely will find me.
And Tobias,
on anything.
Where can they find you?
Mostly on Blue Sky. You can find me, or Tobias, at our .bluesky.social, whatever it is. You can find me. It's pretty easy. It'll be in the show notes for sure. That's usually where I hang out. And yeah, you can find me in Tuliolo because that's where I'll be hanging out for the next few months.
And you can also find my Twitch, which is sort of, as time has gone on, is kind of become the unofficial AwesomeCast Twitch, really, because I'm the one that twitches the most. Sometimes Anna does it, but usually it's been me lately, which you can find at It's Basil Time, or again, Anna's is also Angel Darkfire Middle A is Silent. Lately, she and we've been doing runs in 14 Palace of the Dead. As of recording this, we have either progressed to our final things and we cleared floor 200, or we died horribly.
Yeah, we are currently on 151, so here's hoping we can get through it.
Yeah. I don't know when we will be able to do this the last leg. If it might be a post Dawntrail thing. Things are coming up in life, so we'll see. But that is it. And until next time, even in Tural, never ever forget, you take the Bone Dragon up north.
Basically, I think you mean it's Tank the Solar Dragon up north.
Oh.